Hey folks, we are going to continue working on martial powers, but I am sick. I've got something that's coming down. It's in my throat. I can feel it, so I don't think I'm going to be on stream for long, and I don't think I'm going to be on forever on tonight. So I'm really disappointed in that. I love my Monday night stream, but I don't think for the health of me and the channel in general, I should be on tonight. So I'm going to lay off tonight. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow morning. Otherwise, I might not be back until Wednesday. So we'll see how that fares. But I'm going to check my signal here real quick to see how things are coming through. We're going to go over a little bit of Way of the Four Elements tonight. Then we'll move on to whatever's next. So give me a hot second here to check my signal. Well, it sounds like that's coming through. I've got an intro spiel here to do with y'all in a moment. So give me a hot second here while I do some updates. My name is Phil. I create role-playing game supplements. I illustrate them and then I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here for the past 5 years. You can check in the description down below. There's a slew of links that point to other content that I've created before. And it's I'll be okay. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a bunch of free previews. You can check that stuff out. If you like the artwork that I do, there's probably about 150 illustrations among the works that are there. You can just click on the free on the full preview link, or if you're on a mobile device, there'll be an eye icon on the right hand side of the screen. Either way, it'll point you to stuff that I've done. So check that stuff out. If you think it's cool, consider making a purchase to support the channel. Otherwise, let's see here. I've just posted that I am live on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Phil Kearney. Otherwise, give me a hot second here just to kick through my links and for giving people updates on Discord that I'm up and running. We're going to spend just a little bit of time here looking at the Way of the Four Elements and then move on. This is actually probably a really fortuitous occasion for us because of all the subclasses for Monk. I would say the Way of the Four Elements is going to be by far the easiest for us to convert because it's basically a casting type class. So let's see. This is a bunch of books that I've created before that you can see on the cover, except for the Spelljammer book. That's actually something that we're building in the mornings, Monday through Friday in the morning. We stream artwork for the Spelljammer book. Once it's finished, it'll also be in the links down below to other books that I've built. This Martial Powers project is streaming from the Collar Mana spell point variant rules that I had created on DMsGuild a couple years back. The spell point variant rules, the Collar Mana system allows spellcasters to use the 5 colors from Magic the Gathering to cast spells. It's an alternate spell point system. It's actually very intuitive to use, and is I would argue should replace the spell point system that's in the DMG. It's really friendly to players and really easy to use. But this martial power system that we're developing. Excuse me, let me take a second here to grab a sip of honey tea. It's honey tea and ginger, so that'll help me kick out for a little bit. But I don't anticipate having a very long stream today at all. Where am I at with? Okay, there's that. Here's my Twitter X account at Phil Kearney. You're welcome to check it out if you want. I post artwork here that we've done for various books and always post our links when we're live, so you can check that stuff out if you want to. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when we're live. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. If you check this stuff out, you think it's cool, you want to see more of it, or you check out some of my other streams, if you can jump into the team, that'd be fantastic. Also worth noting here, the playtest content and early looks on my Patreon. You don't have to be a subscriber to check this stuff out, although that would certainly be appreciated. Just today, I posted a response to the D&D video that got put out about monsters have the flavor of monsters in D&D for their cookbook. Well, I went through the Dice Try Discord channel and asked their opinion to double check me, but Here's the 5 colors of mana, and here's the 5 flavors on your tongue, and these are the correlations that we pretty much figured are good enough. So you can argue any of these points, and I invite you to do so. White bean salty, blue bean sour, black bean sweet, red bean spicy, and green bean bitter. And here's your mixes: Azorius being salty and sour, like Golgari being bitter and sweet, Zet being spicy and sour, Orzhov salty sweet, Dimir sweet and sour. These are all just flavored combos. And here's your Strixhaven flavor combo. So like if you were to go to the School of Culinary Arts at Strixhaven to be able to make food magic, this would be the flavor specialties that would naturally align with each of the colors of the different colleges that are there. Lorehold, salty and spicy. Witherbloom is black and green, so that's bitter and sweet. Silverquill is black white, which is salty, which is sweet and salty. Black, sweet, salty, white. Quandrix is green and blue, so that'd be bitter and sour. And then Prismari is blue and red, which would be spicy and sour flavors. Hey, Karen, it's good to see you. So if you want to swing by my Discord here, or if you want to swing my Patreon, you can see this little article here. There's also playtest content for the In-Command system that will be jumping into a Kickstarter project probably by 2025. Some other essays that we put out, but down here is probably the most important bit. The playtest content for Martial Powers. If you click on the YouTube stream, you'll just end up here on camera with me now. Hey, guys. Otherwise, you can click on this Martial Powers link, and that'll take you to the read-only document here. As a Google, you'll be able to read only, but that's the same document that we have here that we've been playing through. So right now, like I said, I'm sick, so I don't think I'm going to stay on stream for long, but there's a couple different points I wanted to touch on today. First off, we're going to play with the Way of the Four Elements, which we have down here in the Monk, Way of the Four Elements. Here you go. The way of the Four Elements works is you can basically channel spells. You learn spells. So here's your mana point limit. You can ignore that crap. Disciplines. Here's the different translation of stuff. Cone of Cold, Hold Person. The way that we're going to look at how first off, if you are interested, you can check out here in my Patreon. It'll drop you down to the color mana systems that I've already put online, and let's get you into those here real quick, just to take a look at this. Here we go. Here is the Martial Powers system, or the spell point variant rules that we have. We already have a book called Elemental Key, which is converting the Way of the Four Elements into a this is full preview like everything else is on that I post on DMsGuild. So let's check this out here real quick. It's got a stack of 50 spells that you can treat the monk as a half caster with a short rest recovery. First level spells take one key or 1 mana. 5th level spells take 5 key or 5 mana. If you're going with color mana here, you'd use either blue, red, or green mana. And each spell discipline is aligned to a different color. Like for instance, the Shuddering Stomp is an Earth Tremor spell, which is a 1st level spell, which you could use either a red or a green mana to cast it with. And it also offers elements: air, earth, fire, and water. So like, for example, Produce Flame is a fire-based spell. What happens, this uses the same color mana system that we have here in this bundle, where you assign your mana pool to different color of colors or elements as the elemental way may be. But diving in here real quick to look at some of the alternate class features that we've created. Elemental Smite. Hold on real quick. Hey, Tap and Tap Burn has been my favorite purchase from DMsGuild thus far. I can't wait for Martial. Oh my god, thanks so much, Zona. All those books are going to go through a major revision once 2024 comes out. Since they're going to be changing up a lot of the mechanics in the Martial Powers book and all of these mana books that we have, we're going to update all that stuff so it's compliant with the new in 2024. But we'll also have a chance to add Strixhaven as well as Theros to the mana language of stuff, and be able to expand on clerics more. We've got spell point sorcerers. which is a mana conversion, specifically deep dive into the sorcerer, which is a shitload of fun that I'm looking forward to getting into. I'm glad that you think this stuff is cool, Zona. Thank you. Definitely use the revised color mana spell list because that gives you a lot more flexibility on what spells you want to use. But that'll all be integrated into the core mechanics book once that's updated. So these are different class features that we added onto the Way of the Four Elements, because if I'm not mistaken, we have elemental disciplines, which are basically spells, and we'll look at those in a minute. Yeah, you literally get nothing. This subclass gives you nothing but a list of spells. Like a half caster gets a shitload of spells and a shitload of features. I guess you could argue that the monk already gets a shitload of features, but a half caster like a paladin gets a shitload of features, gets a mana supply, choose a spell per day, and when they take their oath, they get bonus spells and additional powers. So them sticking it to, I really do feel like they stuck it to the monk with this, in that the only thing that they gave the monk as a subclass is just a list of spells, and you only pick 6 of them. Fuck you. 6 spells? No. So I'm really angry about this, because the monk could be such a killer class if they just... It's very old design mentality, and I don't know how we're going to see it updated in 2024. So we got to put our foot forward. So we already know what the martial power system is. We've already looked at some of the alternate class features for the monk, and we know that, like, say from the Way of the Drunken Monk, that the Drunken Master, that when you get your power list at 3, 5, 9, 13, 17, you get 2 powers on top of the 16 that you get from level 1 to 20. You'll end up with known powers. You'll end up with 16 powers that you can just choose from. And each subclass offers you bonus powers that you just get for free, just like you would for any subclassing spellcaster class. So what we've done here, excuse me, cough, take a sip. Oh yeah. So when what we're doing here is, at 3rd level, you gain the Elemental Attunement cantrip, which is a 0 cost. You can just use it at will. At 3rd level, you gain 2 first-level spells from the list of Elemental Disciplines. You gain an additional spell at 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. And you can change any number of known spells when you gain a level. And then spells require concentration. Spells that require concentration cannot be locked. So you have to maintain concentration for the things that require concentration, and then let Bob become your uncle. I'm going to actually use our list here to quickly sort through. I have I for instantaneous effects, S for sustained effects, and there are 0 persistent effects on the list. So I'm just going to kick through here real quick. Let's continue with the language here, and then we can move on. So 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th, 15th, 17th. How about that? You get 10. You get 10 bonus spells that you can pick up as well, and then you get the Elemental Attunement as a freebie kick-up. But normally a class gets 10 features. By configuring it this way, at 3rd level you get 2, and then you gain 1 every odd level until 19th. So you still end up with 10 powers on your list, and normally a monk would be able to change all of their powers whenever they finish a long rest, and during a short rest they can change 1. But the powers that are on the power list, those are permanent. These are bonus powers. So these are permanent. Even if you wanted to switch out all your other stuff, you still have Savage Attacker and Defensive Duelist on your Drunken Master list. So when we're going down here in the Way of the Four Elements, these become permanent spells that you know. Instead of being able to switch them out every day, you switch them out when you gain a level. So that's how they remain, like, persistent on your list without being completely permanent. And there's only, like, I think 16 of them. 1, 2, well, not counting the cantrip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There you go. So there's 16 of them total. I'm just going to go through the doc here real quick just to catch this up. River of the Hungry Flame. Let's pull this out of the document. River of the Hungry Flame, Wall of Fire. And it is a sustained effect. So let's go down here to... See, by having a 4th level spell and it costs 4 mana, it helps your key go further, or discipline points, or I just converted the name to mana because it's the only thing. If everything is called mana, then there's no confusion that you can add mana to your mana pool, right? Eternal Mountain Defense is Stone Skin, which is also sustained effect. Yes. Stone Skin. Flames of the Phoenix. Fireball. Instant effect. Fireball. Get out of here, scallywag. Rush of the Gale Spirits. What is that? Rush of the Gale Spirits. Gust of Wind. Sustained. Yes. Fist of Unbroken Air. Also known as Fist of Unbroken Air. There you go. And we'll put an asterisk next to that one. Here and here and here. Let's see. See Monk Players Handbook. I see some text down there. We're almost done with this list, so let's just get through that, and then we'll see how else we want to flesh out the features. Elemental Attunement, Water Whip. Is that it? Yeah. Sup? You know what? I don't have a Discord yet. I would love to invite you. Once I have a Discord up and running, I will. Once I have I have a Discord that I just dump notes and stuff into. That's my own. But I'm going to be making a public Discord server when just about when the Spelljammer book is about ready to publish. I'll create a Discord this holiday before the new year. Where we can gather to look at the color mana stuff, the Spelljammer stuff, the in-command system that I'm developing, all the other books I've created, as well as the 5d10 random adventure creators system that I have, as well as be a hub for us to do play testing out of, and stock art and stuff like that. So I'll get one up and running soon. TM. I also need to build a web page. So I think I might just have my webpage point to Patreon for now, but right now it just points to Facebook, and that's ultimately not where I want it to go. Sweeping Cinder Strike is Sweeping Cinder Strike. There you are. Burning Hands, Fire, Shape of the Flowing River. That is Shape of the Flowing River. Okay. Shape of the Flowing River. Fist of Four Thunders. Fist of Four Thunders. Thunderwave. Fist of Four Thunders? Yeah. And Fangs is, I think Fangs is actually just a monk thing, right? Yeah, Fangs of the Fire Snake. And then asterisks are, these things are described in the Monk's Player's Handbook, Way of the Four Elements. There. So well, there you go. That's your core class feature at third, right? You get the attunement ability, which is a 0 cost ability, and then things at the first. Right, you pick up 2 of these things at first rank. And we need to do this. First rank. Third level equals first rank. Equals second rank. Equals 2 mana. Do this. For lack of a better resource for now, this is how we'll just lay this stuff out. Third rank equals 3 mana. This stuff actually costs 5 mana, which is something you normally don't have to worry about in martial powers, because all the martial powers in our system cap at 4 mana. So this is a fun variant. Let's see. What's up, Zone? Wait, what? Are you able to see what I got on screen? Hold on. That doesn't sound like the way things are supposed to be. Why are you... Oh my god. Hey, thanks for the warning. Oh god, I forgot to push them down. So bad. There we go. Thanks for the updates, guys. I appreciate that. When it's up... There you go. My bad. I am out of it today. It's a good thing I'm going to keep this thing short today. There we go. We have all our disciplines updated. So there's our stack. It's 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana. And here's our concentration effects. You can't maintain concentration. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I forgot that I have to navigate these windows here. They were up in position here, which makes me lose everything. And then when I push these 2 windows here, it shifts the order. So I won't be highlighting that reel. So let's see. The actual class gains nothing, if I'm not mistaken. Discipline of a disciple of the elements. These are the things that you get. Casting an elemental spell. Fuck off. Blah blah blah. Breath of Winter. Blah blah blah. There you go. Here is the effects that we're looking at here on the DMsGuild that you can see the stack of. So what I was attempting to express earlier, now that you can see things, is you can click down here in the description. This is where that playtest content is here. You can look that up on my Patreon here. This is what you're supposed to have been seeing at the beginning of the stream. You can see here's the colors, that flavors that we were talking about, the article that came out in response to Wizard of the Coast cookbook. Here's our Commands of Guilds and Kingdoms playtest content and some of the initial development stuff I had on YouTube. Here's the Color Mana Spell Point Variant Rule Bundle that I am referencing here right now. That'll click into that. And then I pick up the Eldraine Monstrous Compendium that was released on D&D Beyond every week or so. 4 Tiers of Play was an article. Playtest content, there you go. The playtest content for Martial Powers. If you click here, that'll take you to right here. Hi. But this link here will open up a read-only document, so you guys can tag along and check out what we got going on here. There. So that leads you back into the same document that I'm using right here, so that you have reference points. Thanks for the heads up, Zona. Yeah, so you know up to 16 powers when you hit 20th level. And like we were talking about, all of the subclasses that we're building here gain a stack of 10 bonus powers that are automatically and always on your list. right? So we're modifying that with the Way of the Four Elements, so that at 3rd level you get 2. You get the you get the Elemental Attunement, and you get the 2 first level spells here off of this list, and then at 5th level, 5th, 2nd level spells. Third level, 4th, and then 5th. There you go. So there's that stack. Here's, we've broken them all down into what they are. Now we're looking at features. So let's go up here. I'll grab that. I'll go back down to here. Elemental disciplines. Add elemental attunement and 2 first level spells from the bonus list above. What the? Get out of here. Bonus list above to your list of powers known. And then 6th level, 10th level, was it 6, 10, 14? Is that when we gain stuff? No, it's 3, 6, 11, 17. Thank you. I think I have a few things we can add here. 3, 6th, 11th, 17th. There we go. Let's see. Elemental damage. How do we want to do this? What we want to do is, let's go reference our elemental key book again. No. Full preview. There you go. This thing's almost, this is like 7 sales away from being silver. I'm pretty excited about that. There's not a lot of, there's like maybe 5 or maybe like, there's less than 10 books dedicated to a monk that are silver. Gold comes in at 101 sales, and there's less than 10 on the DMsGuild that are silver or above, and like 2 that are gold, and like the Pugilist is like the only adamantine sale. So this book is already in rare air, and I know I get that because I bundle it with the spell point variant rules, but bundling those things together and making them free to view is the easiest way for me to be able to parse out different ideas and distribute them piecemeal, but then help continue to increasing the value of the color mana system as a whole. Here we're looking at elemental damage types. So elemental damage, when you can, you gain the basic elemental damage types. You can choose to deal basic elemental damage when you hit with a melee weapon attack, and that includes unarmed and natural weapons as well, as we describe in the mechanic system down below. This damage types you can use at will include scroll down to our list of damages. And again, you could always learn. You could choose to, instead of learning one of these 16 powers that you gain at low levels, especially, you can. This is the wrong one. Stick here, and then let's go to here. Power feats, damage. There we go. Nope. Nope. This is meta. This is a meta conversation. This is not where we're supposed to be. Feats. No, it is. Feats, meta power feats, blah, 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 combat masteries. That's new that we're still developing. Instead of weapon masteries that were presented by wizards, we can keep weapon masteries as published once the DMG once Wizards updates the stuff, so that like bards and wizards and shit can use a weapon mastery associated with their, like, say a hammer can push people, right? But if you learn a combat mastery, you're going to be able to use those abilities with literally any weapon that you're proficient with. Be a ranged weapon or a melee weapon. So like you hit somebody, you can trip them. But if you are familiar with the power system already, when you're using a strike power, you're spending mana, you're dealing damage, and the effect that you want automatically triggers. So you get one round of whatever that effect is guaranteed. And then at the end of the target's turn, that's when they get to make a saving throw to get out of it. So even if creatures have legendary resistances, you can tag them with this stuff up front, and you'll still be able to like trip them or slow them or stun them if you spend enough mana. And they can't get out of it until the end of their turn. So you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to benefit from this stuff during your turn until it's the end of their turn, in which case they have the chance to save out of it, which they could, of course, burn a legendary resistance or a legendary reaction to automatic legendary resistance. Legendary resistance to automatically succeed a saving throw as bosses would do. But you can also spend resources to be able to get to automatically pass saves if you've already burned through your resistances. But this is going to allow fighters to automatically have effect, as opposed to spellcasters, which they'll spend their mana, they'll target something, and then it'll either be affected or it won't. You'll also see that design in the maneuvers that we have, which is when you use a maneuver and you target somebody and you click with it, they'll get a saving throw to resist the effect. As opposed to strikes require you to hit somebody. And if you're successful in hitting them, then you can spend the mana to trigger the effect, and it'll take effect for one round. And then they can start saving their way out of it. So marshals have a keen advantage that the things that they want to do, they'll be able to pull off automatically. But they also have much smaller mana pools, so you can't generally do as much of that stuff as a full caster could. So spells have their unique difference in that they have more battery, more bang for their buck, but there's not a guarantee that that thing's going to trigger. As opposed to all the stuff in the martial power system, if you're tagging people, you're going to be able to get at least some of the effect off, which is a difference in how these two channeling versus spellcasting works. This also requires you to be directly engaging an opponent, and that they're aware it's you that's doing it. Like they know when they get hit by a power, unless you're spending extra mana to conceal your source, that you're the source of the power. When you hit somebody with power, they automatically know where that power came from. Like, I'm being attacked. I know I am, because the whole intent of martial powers is to not be subtle. To make it an evidence, I am challenging you, I am attacking you, I am in your face. This is the way of martials, to be upfront and aggressive. A rogue that wants to do like a sneak attack assassination sort of thing and not give away their position, they can spend extra mana as an exploit to conceal the source of power. So it's default that it's always open and obvious and flaring, that you've got like this magical effect coming off of you that's affecting somebody. Or you can spend extra mana to keep it concealed inside of you so you don't give away your position. So here we go. Acid, cold, fire. There we go. And poison. Acid, fire. Cold, fire. Lightning. There you go. And I'm not giving you poison off the cuff, because that's not very elemental. But you gain all those types. So you can choose to deal basic elemental damage when you hit with basic elemental damage when you hit with a melee weapon attack. Damage types you can use at will include. There you go. That's a decent 6th level feature. Let's go to. Elemental Grace. I think this is. Am I gonna be able to pick that up? Yeah, probably. Maybe not. Nope. Elemental. Call it elemental grace. This is a little different from the elemental key book that we put out at 11th level. When you finish a short or long rest, you can choose one type of element damage from acid, cold, fire, and lightning. You are resistant to this damage type. You can change which type of damage you are resistant to between rests during your turn by spending 2 mana. There. And then irresistible elements. We'll make that our 17th. Irresistible elements. At 17th. Yellow U. Creatures that are immune to the chosen damage type are instead resistant. Nice. At 17th level, you can, when you finish a short or long rest, you can choose one type of elemental damage from acid, cold, fire, and lightning. Creatures that are resistant to the chosen damage type are not resistant to your damage of that type. Creatures that are immune to the chosen damage type are only resistant to your damage of that type. You can change which type of damage you is irresistible between rests during your turn by spending 4 mana, period. There, super simple. That's a lot of fun. That's a decent little class. So you're gonna get your 16, you're gonna get your 10 spell effects, you're gonna get your 16 self-chosen disciplines as usual. You're going to get your normal stack of mana that you would gain as a monk. All the monk features that you normally get, all the extra monk features that we alternate class features that we've gone over in past episodes, and then you get all these cool little perks. So that's basically Way of the Four Elements. And hey, Alan. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. What I think I'm going to end up doing when I reformat all the books, what I think I'm going to do is simplify the elemental key book to, instead of talking about maybe instead of talking about both color and elemental magic, maybe I'll just strip this down to just elemental magic, and maybe I'll just fold all this monk tech involving color mana, the URG. Maybe I'll fold all that stuff directly into the martial powers book. I'm not 100% yet. I'm thinking that's what I want to do. So that's basically how the 4 elements suss out. I'm not feeling well today, so I'm going to cut the stream pretty short, even though it's only been 40 minutes. It's probably I'm about to hit my limit on what I can actually do before I start, hocking up lungs. But sad that I'm not going to be online tonight. I'm really lamenting not being around. But I wanted to point out before I go, updates again on the rogue class features, because I keep monkeying around with the mechanics, and I think I finally found something that I like to keep things balanced properly. So here's what we got. These override the previous 2 sessions where we were here and I looked at stuff. So I believe this is where we're going to sit. Power over precision. Starting at first level, you can reduce the amount of dice you roll when dealing sneak attack damage to temporarily gain additional mana. For reference, a rogue is a martial caster or a martial channeler, so you gain your mana back on a short rest. So a monk, a rogue at first level would have 1 point of mana per short rest. Of course, I don't recommend generally that you use mana at first, second, third level unless it's for sustaining a power or maybe a reaction or an exploit. But typically a sustained power, and then just use all of your known powers instead of learning powers that require mana for you to burn and then you run out quickly. You could choose instead to learn a damage type, which is unlimited. You can also choose to learn one of the combat masteries that we've been developing, so you can use any of these things at will, regardless of weapon it is that you're using. It's basically a cantrip, because it requires a saving, like if you want to trip somebody, they get to make a saving throw, as opposed to like the tripping strike, which is your weapon increases by 1 power die per mana burned, and you can knock your creature up to 1 size larger than you or smaller prone. The target makes a saving throw. The target makes a saving throw to prevent this, adding the highest power die result to your channeling DC. So D6, D8, D10, you add it to your die roll. If you've got multiple dice, then you're going to end up with a higher die roll overall. I should reconsider that, because I think, is Tripping Strike and Disarming Strike, are those literally the only 2 things that require a saving throw off the cuff? Disarming Strike, the weapon deals extra damage equal to 1 power die per mana burn, and the target must make a strength saving throw against your channeling DC, adding the result of the highest power die rolled, or the target drops 1 item of your choice that it's holding. The object lands at a location you choose within 10 feet of the target per mana burned, channeling this power. And then we have down here in the masteries, getting down to it, disarm. Target makes a strength saving throw, or object held is dropped in an adjacent 5-foot square. There, so you're going to get a lot more control over where you throw things, and you're going to deal more damage, and the DC is going to be a lot higher using the disarming strike as opposed to disarm mastery. You can of course use the disarming strike or the disarming mastery anywhere you want. Just the disarm mastery won't cost any mana to use. You can also pick up the trip mastery, which is dex save or prone. And then up above we saw that we were hyping up the damage and we were hyping up the DC to make sure we keep them knocked down. So far so good. So you could learn masteries instead. And then you could also learn, so you can learn damage, you can learn a mastery, or you can learn a feat instead of taking something that actually costs mana to use. So at first, second, third, like at low levels, there might be a super juicy ability that you want to pick out, a power that you want to pick up. But if you're like, I don't have enough mana for me to honestly be able to do anything, then you can just pick up a shitload of stuff that doesn't cost any mana to use. And then you can pick up like a sustained power, so that 1 point of mana that you have, you can just lock your sustained power and it just goes until you begin a long rest, or unless somebody specifically dispels it. But like at below 5th level, the chances of you having something dispelled incredibly low. That's just not the kind of things that you fight at like 3rd level. So you're gonna have a really high rate of retention. So any of these things at 1st level you can just pick up, and it basically becomes a permanent feature that you add onto your character. And you could just take, like, through 17th level, you've got 5 mana total that you can add up 5 ranks worth of effects. So you can learn like Blind Sense and Cliff Runner and Crouching Stance and Dire Impact and Elemental Resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can pick up these 5 things as a total of 5 mana that you can channel all together and have all of these things active at once. Or a 17th level character that has 5 ranks of power, you could, like, say, pick up Indestructible for 4, and then have a point left over for, like, say, Dire Impact. So you can add your stat damage to your power attack and stuff like that. So at low levels, you either take things that are free, or you take sustained powers that you can lock. You never have to worry about your mana pool. If you're like, I don't want to fuck around with mana because I don't like that level of complexity in my characters, great, then just pick a bunch of weapon masteries and a bunch of extra feats, so you can save your actual 4th, 8th, 12th, etc. feats for ASI to actually increase your stats, because you can just buy at will the feats and the masteries that you want for your character. And if you want to tack on damage types, then we've got damage for you. We got all we got all the damage types for you. Starting at 1st level, you can gain the basic damage types. And then starting at 5th level, you can learn the more advanced combat types. And if you're going to use a color mana system, like here's your elemental magic system. Air, a simple, is lightning, then it advances to thunder. Earth starts as acid and advances to force. Fire starts as fire and advances to radiance. And water starts as cold and advances to psychic damage. We just, I guess, settled on psychic damage. Cheers. I asked a lot of people, and Psychic came out the most consistent advanced damage type that we would think would go along with water, so that's the one that we chose. Only because there's so many aquatic creatures that can deal psychic damage and has telepathy and stuff, because water's not a good medium for speaking through. I think that's probably where that came from, but it pans out. And then you've got, if you're using magic paradigms, when you create a character, you would typically choose 2 colors. One, you would assign 2 disciplines to one color, 2 disciplines to another, and then the 5th discipline can use either color. I would typically say, whatever you want to do the most of, you should make either or color. Like, if you're a paladin, you're planning on doing a lot of smites, then you would want to make smite your universal. So, like, you could use, like, if you're a Boros paladin, you could use both white and red mana, and no matter which one you burn, you can smite with. But, like, sustained powers are white. Reactions are white, while, say, exploits and maneuvers are red. So as long as you spend a point of mana, you can do an exploit, or a point of mana, you can do a maneuver. But if you use red mana, you'd use that for sustained and reactions in this character's instance. But you can mix them up. Like, you could take a Golgari, like a Golgari Ranger would be black and green mana. And maybe you want that Golgari Ranger to have free access to sustained powers. So you'd make sustained powers both green and black. And then, like, maybe you make your strikes black and your reactions black, while you would make your exploits and your maneuvers green. And if you don't want to know any exploits and you don't want to know any maneuvers, then that means all you have are strikes, reactions, and sustained powers, and you've already assigned all of those black. So your Golgari Ranger could operate exclusively in black mana, and just would never have to worry about running out of the proper color to trigger different effects. But you can change the color when you regain all your mana on a short rest or a long rest. You can then assign how much mana you want going to each color, if you decide to have a mechanical aspect to your color. Because you could just say, I'm just going to use universal spell points and have a pool of 20 points. And I'm going to narrate that I'm Golgari with black and green magic, and just narrate that as I go. But in truth, they're just universal points, just like key is universal key, right? I can use any element, I can use any spell I want. I just burn the key. But if you want a layer of limitation, so that caster, like this resource that we get, especially for casters, breaking up their spell pool so that they have to choose. It's like in Pathfinder or in earlier editions of D&D. When you had a spell slot, you had to assign what that spell would be. Like, I've got a 3rd level spell slot. I'm going to put Fireball. I'm going to learn Fireball twice. And I have three 3rd level spell slots. So I'm going to learn like Fireball twice and like say Fly once. And if an occasion that comes up that doesn't require Fly or Fireball, then I effectively have no 3rd level spell slots. That's currently how Pathfinder works. That's how all the older editions of D&D work for all the casting classes. It was only in 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition that it really started to evolve into, well, you can use this stuff for whatever you want. You've got flexibility there, which is part of the quadratic equation issue of quadratic casters versus linear progression for martials, is that these quadratic casters have an ever-growing list of at-will abilities that they can use and a growing pool of resources that could be used at any time with any of them. So instead of limiting them to, you got to pick how many fireballs you want to cast per day, with this system you can instead say, well, Fireball is a red spell. So as long as and it takes 3 mana for you to cast a fireball, but if at least one of them is red, the other 2 can be any color that you want. But now you have to decide how much red mana do I want in my mana pool before I run out of spells and I can't cast fireball anymore. And if it's a 6th level or higher spell, all the mana has to be the same color. So if I want to cast, like, say, Precognition or whatever that is, Foresight, the 9th level Foresight spell, that's a blue spell. I would have to spend 9 blue mana, not just 1 point of blue and then 8 of whatever color. It'd have to be all 9 color would have to be blue, because that forces that wizard or that cleric or whatever to be in a specific color, to operate within their color. Or if they wanted to be, like, say, Rakdos, which is black and red mana, and you wanted to learn Foresight, you can have that. It's just that you would either have to research it from blue into black or red, or you could learn it as one of your known spells. You could prepare it once, and then it would be blue, but you can't cast blue because you don't have any blue magic. So then you would prepare it a second time so that you would be able to not only know Foresight, but now you know it as a black spell or as a red spell. So when you cast it, say you learned it as black, it took 2 spell slots for you to learn it, but now you can spend 9 black mana instead of having to figure out how a Rakdos character would get blue mana. Rakdos characters can't have blue mana. Rakdos is only black and red. That's the constraint of the narrative behind Rakdos. Or like Witherbloom in Witherbloom in the Strixhaven setting. Only knows black and green if you're using MTG logic. Well, they can learn any spell that they want. It's easy for them to learn spells that are naturally black and green. They just know it. And they have the mana for it. Happy hunting. Or you can learn any other spell and bend them to become black and green. So when you see somebody like Hold Person's like a white and black spell, I think. If you see Quandrix casting it using, say, blue or green magic, then you know that they've modified that Hold Person spell to work within their color scheme. So there's a lot of narrative depth there, and at the same time it places hard mechanical limits on limiting, like you have to spend time and money to learn it, the color that you want, or prep it on the fly, spend 2 spell slots. So instead of being like a 7th level wizard with 14 spells that they can prepare, if you're preparing spells outside of your color pool, then you could have as little as 7 spells. So you'll have anywhere from 7 to 14 spells depending on how much you adhere to the magic colors that are natural to your character. Or you could do a Dominaria set where all characters have access to all 5 colors, and they can make their mana pool whatever they want, and then learn spells to coincide with that depending on what they want. Like if you want to go with like a Bant, white, red, green, I think is what Bant is. But if you want to learn like a black spell, again, you'd still have access to white, red, and green colors, all those spells naturally on your list. But if you wanted to learn, like say you wanted to learn, I don't know, Cause Fear is a black spell. You could pick that up in Bant by learning it twice, or again researching it so it's one of the colors that you like. So depending on what color campaign you're playing inside of is going to dictate what colors your character has. And all of these martial characters in this book are assumed to have two colors out of the 5, or if you're using the elemental system of the 4 elements, you're either going to be an avatar where you have access to all 4 colors or all 4 elements, and you just decide how you want to split up your mana pool between those 4 elements, or you're playing a more general avatar campaign where everyone is going to be devoted to one color depending on which tribe they're from. And then you would go through the process of researching things that aren't earth. If it's not earth magic, if it's a fire, like a fireball spell is fire magic, right? If you wanted to learn that as an earth spell, then you'd have to learn fireball as earth, and then it would be an explosion of rock or whatever, dealing acid damage or force damage. It'd probably be force damage because it's advance equals 5th. Like, that's a way you can bend elemental magic into 5e using all the mechanics that already exist for 5e that way. So, but when you build your character here in the martials, you pick which 2 aspects of magic, assuming that you're using color magic because of MTG. Again, you would pick 2 colors that you prefer. That would be the guild that you're a part of by default. So, like, Dimir has a very different default set of magic than Golgari does. They share black, but the difference between blue and green is significant. So you're going to see it like cheap magic is going to stay inside the color identity of that creature's guild. More advanced or powerful characters are going to have more resources that they can bend other spells from other colors into their own color palette, so they can hit you with stuff that you wouldn't necessarily expect a low-ranking Golgari guildsman to have access to. Like, you don't expect a Golgari to have access to Foresight. That's like a really powerful wizard in the first place, and then even more so because they've manipulated the magics to be able to get access to what they want. Super long, drawn-out story there, but we're trying to figure out how to best represent that in text here, because it's always easier to just express stuff. It's always easier to explain things in words colloquially than it is to lock things down in mechanical language. But that's our challenge. So, but that's that's it for the day. That's all I really had planned. I want to cut out of here before it's too long. And yeah, so I don't think I'm going to be on tonight. Let's just assume I'm not because of Ick. I expect it to be getting worse in the next couple hours, and hopefully I can get some really good sleep and then get over it and be back online tomorrow morning like usual. So I'll touch base. I'll at minimum drop by tomorrow morning and just say hey. Maybe I'll drop by real quick tonight just to say hey to folks and get out of here and not spend too much time. But that's it for now. Yeah, I can drop by for like maybe a half hour tonight for some more creature token production. So we'll just drop by real quick and just do a little bit of a thing, and then yeet out before it's too long. And then I'm going to try to get some really good sleep tonight, and then jump back in. Hope if I'm still not well tomorrow morning, I'll just have a short stream. I'll just say hey, and then I'll bounce out. If the sleep does me well and I'm back up to capacity, then I'll have a normal stream tomorrow morning like usual. So perfect timing. I'm out of here for now. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. I'm really excited about finishing up all this stuff. I have Friday off, and I'm going to have a lot of alone time, so I'll have an opportunity to jump in here. I'll be able to do Spelljammer stuff in the morning. I'll be able to do more martial powers at lunch, and then I'll be able to work on Eberron Friday afternoon as a makeup session for skipping tonight and Thursday. So we'll probably do like 2 or 3 hours worth of Eberron stuff on Friday afternoon. But I'm out of here for now, and when we come back on Friday, lunch we'll probably be able to have a couple hours of doing stuff. So we've already gotten the way of the 4 elements done. We will next do Kinsei. So I anticipate Kinsei and Law and Death tomorrow, and then next Monday, on Friday, and then on Monday I would anticipate Open Hand. And if we have time, we'll take care of the Sun Soul as well. We've already done a lot of work with it, but I suspect... Oh, wait, I have Wednesday off. I can go back on Wednesday to work on Kinsei. So we only have Kinsei, Law and Death, and Open Hand, and Sun Soul. We might be able to get all these done by the end of Friday, which will cap off all of our classes. Wow. Then we can go and look at Ranger again. I think by yeah, I think by the beginning of December we'll be focusing specifically on monsters and building our campaign. So we're about to shift gears here for a little bit, guys. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna check out before I overwhelm myself. I really appreciate you guys checking this stuff out and being interested. That's really exciting to me that it's resonating with people. Hoping to see you later on tonight, or tomorrow morning, or Wednesday. So stick around, like, subscribe, find out when I'm around. Love to have you. Laters.